Take a look at the best Acer laptops, if you're looking for something that combines power and affordability like no other. Acer has a variety of offerings in the laptop world, from Ultrabooks to lightweight Chromebooks. So whether you're looking for the best laptop for students or a portable for your daily browsing needs, you'll easily find one that won't break the bank. The only real giveaways that it's a gaming notebook are its red keyboard backlighting and touchpad border. I wish Acer would have switched to blues as it has started doing on its Predator laptop lineup, though. The red and black combo is overused in the gaming notebook world, especially among budget models. The Nitro 7's metal construction gives it a vault-like rigidity that should stand up reasonable roughhousing. I could barely budge the palm rest or twist the chassis with force I wouldn't normally apply. The gotcha is that all that metal adds up to a 5.5 pound carry weight, or almost a pound more than I'd like to lift in a notebook sporting a 15.6 inch screen. At least it's reasonably thin, at 0.9 inch, and the 14.3 by 10.2 inch chassis is trim enough thanks to a thin bezel display. The other quibble I have with the Nitro 7's design beyond the heft is that the fit and finish lack polish. On my tester, I see noticeable gaps along the front edge where the pieces fit together, and the corners of the chassis and the lid are too pointy. Otherwise, the one-piece aluminum top is well finished, with laser-cut keys as opposed to a separate keyboard deck. Strangely, Acer decided not to cut a hole for the power button, instead making it a keyboard key at the top right corner. The keyboard has a rubbery feel that I don't love, although the typing surface is reassuringly solid. The Spin 5's exterior isn't something that's going to attract a lot of attention, but it sure is svelte. The brushed metal on the lid and the silver bezels around the housing look sleek. Overall, the Spin 5 measures 12.8 by 8.9 by 0.6 inches and weighs 3.53 pounds. It's small enough to toss in a backpack or messenger bag and not weigh you down. There's a decent amount of ports on the Spin 5, going from HDMI, USB-C, and two USB 3.0 ports on the left to an SD card reader, headphone jack and a USB 2.0 port on the right. With the Spin 5 display's ability to rotate nearly 360 degrees, putting the power button next to the keyboard isn't the best place for it. Instead, there's a volume rocker and power button on the right side of the housing. A large trackpad is centered with the keyboard, meaning it's slightly off-center with the laptop's housing as a whole. There's a fingerprint reader in the top left corner of the trackpad. One of the most important aspects of any convertible laptops is its hinges. The hinges need to be sturdy and reliable, while also smooth and easy to manipulate. Adjusting the Spin 5 screen and rotating it from tent mode back to standard laptop orientation is seamless, and there's very little bounce or movement with the display when typing on the keyboard. Our lone complaint about the overall design is the size of the bezels surrounding the screen. With most laptops, including gaming laptops, now featuring bezels that take up very little space, it was jarring the first time we opened the Spin 5 and were greeted with thick black bars. Far and away the chief selling point of the Acer Swift 7 is the astoundingly slim and light design. Now, you may think your current laptop is thin and light, but we can guarantee it won't be as svelte as the latest Acer Swift 7. This device is exceptionally lean, and you really need to see this laptop to truly appreciate it. At just 12.51 inches wide and 7.53 inches deep, Acer has somehow managed to cut the depth by almost 20%. While it is slightly thicker than last year's model at 0.39 inches, but that's still extraordinarily thin. Acer has somehow decreased the overall size of this year's Swift 7 by making the screen bezels as thin as possible, which brings the laptop screen-to-body ratio to an impressive 92%. This means Acer has removed the webcam from the top of the screen. It doesn't mean the webcam has been totally removed, however, only moved to the lower half of the device. On the top left corner of the bottom of the Swift 7, just above the keyboard, is a small rectangle. Push it down and the webcam pops up. It's a pretty good way to slim down the size of the Swift 7 without completely losing the webcam. The webcam itself is a 720p offering with super high dynamic range imaging. So, it doesn't look like there's been much sacrificing with the repositioning of the camera when it comes to hardware, and it looks decent enough when used to video call. However, its positioning does mean it records at a rather unflattering angle, looking up rather than straight at you. This isn't an angle many people will enjoy. So, you'll have to think about how essential the angle of the webcam is to you. If you do a lot of video calls and you're not a fan of people looking up at your nose, then this might be a reason to avoid the new Swift 7. However, for many other people, this may be a reasonable trade-off to get such a compact laptop. The Acer Predator Triton 500 isn't exactly going to blend into an office space, with its angular designs and giant blue logo on the back. But, it's not the most garish gaming laptop on the block, either. At just 0.7 inches thick and weighs 4.41 pounds, this 15-inch gaming laptop is quite easy to carry around. The Acer Predator Triton 500 has a lightweight metal build, and for the most part it's extremely solid, at least until you take a look at the lid of the laptop. You see, in order to make the Triton 500 as thin and light as it is, there had to be cuts to the chassis somewhere, and these cuts are almost entirely in the display lid. It's incredibly thin, and even minor pressure can cause it to flex. This isn't the most durable build in the world, and it will bend easily. Make sure you put it in a case if you take this laptop with you in your travels. The rest of the chassis is built like a tank, though. The keyboard deck and touchpad show absolutely no signs of flex, even during the most intense Overwatch matches. As for the inputs themselves, the keyboard feels amazing. With an incredible amount of travel and forceful feedback, this keyboard feels fantastic whether we're playing games or doing a bit of writing. And, we have to say that the RGB lighting here is jaw-dropping. There are 3 zones of lighting, rather than the per-key lighting of something like the Razer Blade, but it's bright and customizable. However, the keyboard layout holds the Acer Predator Triton 500 back from reaching its full potential. On the right edge of the keyboard, you'll find a bunch of media keys. Don't get us wrong, we love that these keys are included, but the placement means that we are constantly hitting them while typing. The worst offender is the Predator key, right next to the backspace key. With the likes of the Alienware Area 51 meters, plus Asus's ROG Mothership and Zephyrus models, already shaking things up, it's safe to say that there's no shortage of innovative gaming laptops on the market. But the new Acer Predator Helios 700 still carves out its own distinctive niche. It all centers on a so-called hyper-drift keyboard and palm rest that slides towards the user, with the latter section eventually hinging down to the desktop to provide a comfortable and unusually ergonomic solution, especially for such a thick portable. But those ergonomics are arguably a fringe benefit. The main event is the thermal advantages the sliding keyboard enables. It allows for airflow right through the heart of the chassis. To achieve just that, Acer has fitted a pair of very powerful fans. The upshot is what Acer claims is the ability to unlock the true performance potential of its key components. Indeed, you have direct control over that capability through the Predator Sense app, which includes access to overclocking settings for those key chips. First up, you get an Intel Core i9-9980HK 8-core CPU. Paired with that is an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080 GPU. In other words, this rig has the very finest mobile processor and graphics money can buy combined with what might just be the best thermals yet in a laptop. Elsewhere, this particular config has a slightly potty 64GB of RAM, plus a pair of WD Black SN 721TB SSDs in RAID configuration, not to mention another 2.5-inch 2TB drive for further mass storage. Further details include Acer's own linear switch technology for the gaming critical WASD keys and built-in 5.1 surround sound including a subwoofer, among a very long list of what you might call more peripheral features. It's also worth bearing in mind the sheer scale of this machine. It's over 1.5 inches thick and weighs nearly 5 kilograms. It's massive. Add further mass for the huge power brick and factor in the implications of a big bezel around a 17.3-inch screen. Portable the Helios most certainly ain't.